So today's topic is going to be about the ongoing mission of our government to lower the age of consent entirely. Welcome back to the Freedom Pines podcast. I'm your host, Jamie A.B. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Watching my video and sharing it and liking it really helps me out because it gets my name into the algorithm that the CRTC doesn't like me being part of. So thank you guys for watching so much, and let's get into today's video. So in today's video, we're going to talk about this ongoing process of lowering the age of consent more and more and more, and why it is dangerous. You know, we're going to be talking about this supposed book ban in Alberta, which Danielle Smith is 100% correct about. And even the way that she did the gender situation in Alberta was handled beautifully, even better than America. And I so appreciate her, her caring about it enough to be delicate with it, because there are real people who go through real things. I want you guys to understand something, that intersex is a real thing that people go through, that they have to, and I don't mean to laugh, I just mean that the fact that the left has taken something as serious as something as a condition of intersex or gender dysphoria and normalized it, it blows my mind. These are the people that talk about appropriation being dangerous. Well, this is one of the only times I've seen appropriation being dangerous, okay? But let's start with that, okay? You guys, I can't even post the book on a green screen. Couldn't show you a photo of it because my video would be demonetized, taken down probably, because the images are that graphic. Now, let me tell you, if Twilight was a graphic novel with cartoons of their sexual scenes, I would have said the same thing about Twilight. It doesn't matter. First of all, it's so embarrassing because they say it's a book about being assaulted sexually by a family member. And then it's a book about LGBTQ. First of all, why would you want that to be the overall representation of the community in a library? Second of all, why would you ever think that's okay to put in an elementary school? That's not okay to do, okay? It's really just a ploy to, I'm assuming, divide us more, because what better way to convince people that, oh my goodness, parents hate gay people because they don't want gay people to be taught about their existence in school. It's a lot more than that. It's a lot more than that. And I used to be someone who took my kids to Pride. Back when Pride was literally just a parade. It was just a parade of businesses around. I went to the London one, and it was London, Ontario. Very chill, very just small businesses, and churches saying like, we love you, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden when Trudeau got in, they turned into these things that I never went back to, because it was no longer an appropriate thing to go to. Even as an adult, I was not comfortable with some of the things I was seeing, so I stopped going. But then you're called names if you stop going to those things because of the things you're seeing at. And what better way of convincing an entire group of people that people hate them by saying things like, oh, well, if parents don't agree with this curriculum, they hate gay people. No, that's not the case, okay? It's actually that it seems like the curriculum does, because actually, I want you guys to understand something, that the origins of schmear theory, if you know what I mean, is to eliminate terms such as gay and straight, because those are gendered terms. It's really based in this wild, psychologist theory about why gender exists. And I guess gay people have just been told that it's, a fact. And it's so strange to put that onto children, to tell them that, hey, anybody can just change the gender. No, they can't. It's a very big deal. I don't know why you would ever take that away from people who are dealing with severe gender dysphoria to the point where they've explored every other option and the last one is the most extreme. I have no idea what kind of games that these people don't realize they're playing with children's minds. And what world would it ever be okay to keep secrets from parents, number one? Number 2, have secrets between kids and teachers. Number 3, socially, that's a social experiment. To send a child to school, tell them that they can change their appearance and it changes something about them, and then send them home in the clothes that they can, like the opposite of what they want to be. Weird. And you know what? It's delusional of the left to think that teachers wouldn't sit there and say, your mom doesn't know that you do this at school, so you better do this for me, or I'm calling her up and I'm going to tell her exactly what you do and how you dress at school, because I've seen it myself with other things. Religion, food, anything. Okay? I've seen it with my own damn eyes. That is what teachers do. There are reasons why we have the code of ethics in place, like I said. And not only that, by the way, in the schools, at least in Ontario, they will come with their little mobile medical clinic and give medication to your children. If they're over the age of 12, they can consent themselves. Unbelievable, right? Right. And I will just say, as millennials, we were definitely coaxed into, like, we knew where to go get birth control. We knew how to go get birth control without letting our parents know. All of these different things. Like, I never kept it from my mom, but if you needed to keep it from your parents, they made sure that we knew at school that that was a possibility. So, yeah. And all is within the school system here, okay? Lowering the age of voting to 16, wild. Wild when you know that basically all of the people working in the school system are very pro-NDP, because their unions basically tell them that if they don't vote NDP, they're not voting for the correct people. How do I know that? Well, I was part of it, and I went to meetings sometimes, and I know how the language is, okay? It's a bunch of people very much pro-NDP. And how do I know this too, that it still happens? Oh, maybe that's just what happened at your school. Well, no, my daughter has gone through 2 mock elections because of the election in Ontario and the federal election in the past, 3 months. And every time she's come home from that, she has said something along the lines of, you know, the teacher who was teaching us was voting for the guy with the pink thing on his head. Because she's 12. I don't care about the mock election. Get them used to doing elections, do a mock election, but at least why don't we go after this fairly at all? And you know what? She voted for, I'm pretty sure, who is the NDP girl? She voted for the NDP girl in the provincial election because she was pretty, because that's how kids vote, okay? With they don't know. I've been looking into political science, watching House of Commons, talking about the corruption on TikTok, doing my research for the last 3 years, and sometimes I still don't know how it works. I didn't know you could prorogue government. I didn't know you could just replace the leader like that. I thought it would be Pierre Poilievre versus Justin Trudeau. I didn't think it was possible. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Even at 18, when I voted for Jack Layton, I have no regrets, and I know who I was at that moment, but I definitely was not mature enough, because when I look back at what Jack Layton was saying, I think I was just fooled by the one I got the good vibe from, because I don't even agree with half of the things that he said, at least now, and maybe that's because I know better, and I do think Jack Layton was a way better guy, maybe, than, I say that laughing, because wasn't he caught at a massage place? I don't. And he was married to Olivia Chow. My whole perception of Jack Layton in the past couple of months has just shattered. I still stand by it. I still stand by him being a good politician. And the fact that he got that many votes is obviously saying something. But I will just say that, of course, they want to lower the age of voting to 16. They also lower the age of something else to 16. Yeah. And the lowering of the age of consent to, the other acts that we have, even when Stephen Harper was in, I knew that we needed higher sanctions for PDF files and all of these different things. And it was one of the things I actually did want to get involved with the government because I was so passionate about the age of consent needs to be 18 in Canada, hands down. I don't think you can consent to doing things with a grown adult at the age of 16 when you can't even buy beer. You can't get a tattoo. I digress. That is how people like Jacob Hoggard got away with what he was getting away with, because our age of consent is 16. He was able to, schmooze up, and that's the word I'll use, but there is a real word, and it starts with G, and it rhymes with shrooming. These 15-year-olds, and then when they would turn 16, he would meet up with them, so it was legal. And then he would brutally assault them. I shouldn't even have to say sexually, because the things that they all went to the hospital. They all had to go get kids. I digress. Okay. The Jacob Hoggard situation had a lot of, that's exactly why it was able to happen, was because our age of consent is already way too low. It makes absolutely no sense that for some reason our Canadian government thinks that you can give consent at the age of 12 to get a certain medication because your brain somehow knows to consent to that. You can consent to having grown sexual relations with an adult at the age of 16, okay? But you can't drink, get a tattoo, or gamble till you're 19. Or smoke. Does that make sense to you? Does that make any sense to you that we have these really weird boundaries when it comes to children, like kids, youth, children, youth? 12-year-old it's just a child still. You're not a teenager when you're 12. It's concerning, because do you know what this leads to? Okay. This is not a good thing. I went to school to work with kids. We learned what happens when you keep lowering the age of consent. Number one, child slavery. I don't mean to laugh. I'm just like, well, what else are you thinking? Like, what else, And we already take advantage of immigrants to the point where even the United Nations admits that we are a breeding ground for modern day slavery. Okay. What's next if Canada will just allow it, probably, because they've just allowed everything else, like honor, unaliving. Okay. We knew in 2016, because I had to go to a workshop when I worked at a domestic violence shelter, because those situations, honor unaliving is very different than DV, because usually DV cools down. It's not like, most of the time it's, they're not continuously going after that person, unless obviously they are, and that has happened. But every time in the honor unaliving, they will be looking for you till the end of time, because they have to carry out that honor. It brings honor to their communities rather than shame, and that is the biggest cultural difference. Okay, but we've allowed that because we've just allowed all of these things to happen. Now, can you imagine what other laws, what other practices happen in other countries? And this might seem like a stretch. It's not. When I was in school, this is why I speak out so much, because for some reason, a lot of the people that I went to school with, turned over and believe in DEI, whereas I don't care. I believe in the ethics. The ethics were where we needed to be, because do no harm and informed consent and all of those things are so much more important than just affirming and letting kids and people with mental illness do whatever they want, not getting them the help they need, and then just saying, oh, well, I feel bad, let's let you out and victimize more people. That creates more mental illness. That creates way more issues than helping the people in the first place. It's mind-blowing. I'm talking about child marriage, by the way. Child marriage, because the continuous lowering of consent and lowering, and the more that we have people over here who don't know the customs, the laws, the legislation, the rights that children, that women, that all of anybody does or doesn't have in other places, guys, we are not telling people what is the norm for Canada. And the more that we allow these things to just happen without advocates speaking out, and you know what, and then the big finale is MAID being offered to children at the age of 12 who are mentally ill, which makes no sense that have less chance of being able to give reasonable consent than the average 12-year-old. Not that I think that any average 12-year-old should be ever able to choose made. The biggest reason I went to go work with kids was because I really wanted to unalive myself when I was younger. I just did. And I came from a bad situation, and then my life was turned around, which is a big reason why I speak out, because I didn't go through all of this just to, I didn't pick myself up and carry myself out of all of the crap situations that I was in just to see this country go downhill and not reap the rewards from it. Like Pierre says, we were promised a better Canada. We were promised this Canadian dream, and it is no longer attainable. And not only is it no longer attainable, but we are allowing violence in our schools in the name of DEI, allowing sexual images, allowing secret relationships with teachers in the name of the greater good. This cannot happen. This cannot happen. This normalization of the left thinking that, kids should be involved with kink. No, they shouldn't. You shouldn't even have those two words in the same sentence. And I'm sorry for yelling, but I'm so unbelievably passionate about what this country is doing to our kids, because not only have they completely destroyed their lives. I have a child that was able to access, who was born in 2016, who was able to access all of the speech therapy and therapy that they needed, and I have one that hasn't. There's a big difference between the two of them and how they can talk, okay? The left already makes you feel guilty about having children because of the planet and all of this stuff and how messed up the world is. Okay, well, how about we all work together to make this world a better place for kids instead of just continuously pushing the barriers on what is okay for children to be involved in and what it's not. And it should be pretty obvious. It should be pretty obvious, okay, that not allowing these images in the name of LGBT in the schools is probably what's best. Not allowing children to choose their own demise at the age of 12 is probably what's best. The best thing that you can do is, I swear to God, have the best relationship that you can be with your children. Be the biggest influence you can be on your children. How do I know all of this is actually happening in schools? Because my children have told me. My child has told me about a kid barking at him and being allowed to bark at him and bite him because they are a dog. And he was very confused because he was like, Mom, I didn't think we could turn into dogs. We can't. If it wasn't for my daughter asking me, Mom, why did people hate gay people? Is that true that people hate gay people? I wouldn't have known what they were teaching in the schools. If it wasn't for my daughter coming home last week and saying, Mom, they told me that Donald Trump is taking away the rights of people and deporting them unjustly. And I said to my child, I said, girl, remember when Mom was stolen from somebody who wasn't from here? He didn't get in trouble from that because he has special privileges. I think that if you go to a country and you steal, if Mom went to another country and stole, I would face the consequences of that. Full stop. Okay? And if it wasn't for me being able to talk to my daughter about these things and having a really good relationship with her, she wouldn't tell me about it, and I wouldn't know, and I wouldn't be able to talk it out with her and create a critical thinker. I know this video is going on long, but I am begging you guys, please, this is how we do it. We have a good relationship with our children. We be the biggest influence in our children's lives.